Hello everyone and welcome to week 15 of me making my own animated film. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing great. I'm feeling a little bit tired because I worked pretty much the whole weekend at my part-time job, so I'm really happy to just be at home doing this today. Today we're going to talk about something really useful and kind of silly, which is using yourself as reference for your animation. And it's not really silly, it just looks really silly. So sometimes when you're animating, you just need some reference. And if you can't find any, why not use yourself? That way you can get the exact movement, angle, anything you want. The acting, just on point, the way you want it. And you get to have a little bit of fun. So I've used plenty of references for the animations I've done so far for my film. And I've used it both to do rotoscoping, as I've talked about in a previous video, and also just as plain reference. So pretty much what I do is that I decide which shot I'm going to be working on, and then I decide if I need a reference or not. Sometimes you don't. If I do, it's time to get filming. And there's a couple of things to be mindful of when you're filming your references, because mistakes can be made, and I've made them. So this shot was probably the first shot that I was filming reference for, and it was very important since I was gonna be rotoscoping this as well. And what I wasn't thinking about while filming this reference was that this was a static shot, which means a shot where the camera isn't moving. And in this first version of the reference, you can tell that I'm holding the camera in my hand while I'm writing, and that did not turn out well for me. So then while trying to rotoscope this, everything was just moving all over the place and it didn't work. And now in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense, but I guess since it was my first reference I was shooting, I wasn't really thinking about that. So when you're filming your references, make sure that you know what kind of shot you're filming for. It will be very helpful in the end. Some other problems one might have are making sure you got the correct angle, perspective, all that stuff. Because if you got it at a weird angle or anything like that, it's gonna look really weird. And it is really hard to get the exact angle and perspective, but putting down a little bit of extra effort to make sure it's as close as you possibly can to what you want is gonna really help out in the long run. So what I usually do when I'm using my reference is that I actually put it on top or behind everything in my scene so I can see it through. You can either do that or you can just have it like to the side and look at it. I prefer doing it this way. Then I start looking for key poses and extremes, which are pretty much, the bare bones of the movement. They are the more important positions for the whole movement to work. So then I key those out first, and then after that I don't necessarily need the reference anymore. I might still look at it for some specific details, but then I just try to in between the keys that I have in a way that I think looks nice. And sometimes you don't want to follow your reference too well. You want to make it more cartoony, or you just want sort of like a hint of what that move would look like. When we're animating, we are creating our own world, pretty much, and our own rules, so, you're allowed to bend them. And if some things might not be realistic, but it might just work better for what you're creating. And I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do this, but that's how I do it. Anyway. And then there's this other fun thing to talk about, which is when you're having multiple characters in a shot. And, you could just film them separately and then put them in and do one character at a time. But, why not have a little bit of fun while they're doing it? So what I did for this shot, God, this is the silliest thing. What I did for this shot is that I filmed myself around my table, and then I edited it in a program, so it looks like there's 3 of me sitting, and one of them is a little child, and I'm sorry, but this is like what the hell am I doing moment for me. Why am I putting this on the internet? But anyways, you can do that. and I think you should, because it's a lot of fun. To go back to a little bit of a serious note here, another thing to think about is that the frame rate of your animation and the frame rate on whatever camera or phone you're using might be different, so make sure to check that out, or else things can get a little bit weird. These are the lessons that I've learned so far while creating my own references. Other than this, I'd say just have fun. This is something that is really fun to do. If you have dialogue, you could really exaggerate things and, you know, just go crazy with it, with the facial expressions and stuff. And, yeah, totally try it out. Feel free to put any tips and tricks on how to create your own references down in the comments. You guys have been so good with that, especially on my rough animation video. There's so many good tips and tricks, and it just feels great to be part of this community, really. But yeah, I think that's all for today, guys. If you want to support what I do, you can find me on Ko-fi, and if you want more updates, all my social media links and everything are down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye!